Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel, where we try to dominate FPL one game week at a time. So in today's video, we'll do a quick game week 18 review, and then move on to the team selection for game week 19. And heads up, two more players have just received their 5th booking of the season, and will be suspended for game week 19, so stick around to see what I plan to do. The Christmas period is the season of giving, and what I would like most is for you to click the subscribe button down below. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Be strong.
Right, mates, first up, it's a review of game week 18, and it's not a good one, mates, I won't lie. 34 points so far, massive red arrow to 560k. I've got more points on the bench than I did in my starting 11. Ariel on the bench for 8 points, Taylor on the bench for 6 points, Cameron Archer, 8 points, all on the bench. Matt Turner, Trippier, Saliba, Ben White, Porro, Gordon, Palmer, Ollie Watkins, all blanked. Listen, it's not good enough, mate. I got assists from Son and Sterling and a goal from Salah because that's what he does. One of them game weeks, if you didn't own Solanke, you just didn't have a great game week. I considered bringing him in. I made no transfers in the end, and I considered bringing Solanke in. I just wanted to keep my options open, particularly for this week. In hindsight, I wish I'd just made the move. One of them, what can you do? Just need to keep looking forward and move on to the next game week. Anyway, let's get into the team selection for game week 19. So before we get into the full team selection for game week 19, we've got some information in the bottom right hand corner. My rank is 560k. I've got 98.7 million in team value and 6 million in the bank with 2 free transfers. As you can see on my bench, I've got Palmer and Sterling, who have both received their 5th yellow card. I've made no transfers, and I'll cover some transfer targets and later on in the video. We'll stick around to see who I'm thinking of bringing in this game week. In the goalkeeper slot, I've got Areola or Matt Turner. I've opted for Areola right now. I could easily make a transfer in this position. I just don't really think it's worth it right now, particularly if both of these are playing. Areola obviously kept the clean sheet against Man United in the last game week. Not hopeful of one in this, but I don't really want to take a hit for anything like this, and I think it's better just to kind of stick with it and kind of roll with it from there. But it is what it is, and we'll stick with it for now. In defence, we've got Trippier at home to Forest. They've not been in great form, Newcastle, in the past few games. I'm hoping a home game against one of the lesser teams might kickstart them a little bit, but we'll kind of see how it goes. Not hopeful once again. I'm hoping for some attacking returns from Trippier. We see how it goes and just kind of roll from there. Double Arsenal defence. This has been an absolute nightmare. Like, Ben White has probably been my worst transfer of the season. It's been an absolute horror show. But Arsenal have got 4 good games in a row now, and I don't know if I even want to transfer him out. I'm still considering the likes of Trent or bringing Ben White down to somebody else. I just don't like the selection. It's starting to irritate me. And I just don't think double Arsenal defence are the way to go. Saliba's been rock solid. And this is one of them games where I can see Arsenal conceding, but I can see them winning maybe 2-1, 3-1, something like that. And both my goalkeeper and both my double Arsenal defence both blank. So frustrating. Pedro Porro away at Brighton, same again. I don't see them keeping the clean sheet. Spurs are just so open that they're conceding chances left, right and centre. And they could have easily dropped points against Everton. They completely gassed out after like 20-30 minutes, and they could have easily drew that game. So I'm not confident of a clean sheet. I'm just hoping for some attacking returns and just kind of see what happens. Overall, I don't like my defence and my goalkeeper, and I wish I could completely rip it up. I just don't think it's worth taking a huge amount of hits to kind of correct all this, and I just need to kind of stick with it and trust the process and kind of see what happens. But yeah, frustrating, mate. It's one of those where I'm trying to just clear my head a little bit and not kind of rage quit and not react too aggressively too soon, and just give myself a bit of breathing room and properly assess the situations and the defensive options as best as I can over the next day or so before the next deadline, which is on Boxing Day. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think I should do with my goalkeeper and defence. Onto the midfield, and we've got Anthony Gordon up next. He's looked decent. He's just he's just not fit, and he's carrying a knock. And I think he'll start against Forest, and I think he'll be fine. But I just think Forest with Nuno coming in and replacing Cooper, I think they'll be a little bit more resolute, harder to break down. And this might be a tough game for Newcastle. And if it is, I think Gordon might struggle in this game. Not confident of any kind of returns, but he's still a good budget enabler. I'll still trust it. After this Forest game, they've got a run of about 3 or 4 games that are quite tough, and then the fixtures ease a little bit after that point. But I've got too many issues in my team to be making a transfer for Anthony Gordon right now. on Salah away to Burnley. Really, really nice fixture for Salah, and I think he's one of the prime captaincy options, particularly for this game week. Hopefully, he plays a full 90, still on penalties, great option. He scored against Arsenal, which I was surprised that they conceded a goal, to be honest with you, and he's still a great pick, so I've got no issues about captaining him, particularly away to Burnley, who just don't look great. I know they beat Fulham in the last game. He had an XG of something like 0.48 and scored 2 goals, which is a good effort, to be fair. It's just absolutely clinical finishing. And like both of Burnley's goals are just absolute. I can't say wonder goals. Like the first one was a really good goal. Second one, Sanderberg just kind of runs through the middle, sorts it bottom corner. I still think Fulham should have done better to defend that chance. Heung-min Son away to Brighton. They can see chances, and I think Son is a perfectly viable captain shout. I don't like him on that left wing, and Richarlison did go off with a potential back injury, so kind of stay posted with any kind of news surrounding that. I don't think we'll get too much, but if it did come out that Richarlison was injured, then Son's going to play number 9, still on penalties. He's one of those. I'm happy keeping in the team until he goes off to the Asia Cup, and he's a strong consideration for captaincy for me right now. Onto the forwards, we've got Alexander Isak at home to Forest. He did play half an hour in the last game, and I think he'll start against this one because Callum Wilson did miss a few chances, and he massively underperformed his XG. So I do think Isak will come in and start against Nottingham Forest, and I'm just hoping for returns because I obviously didn't have Solanke. Like I'm hoping Isak can claw some of those points back. I'm not particularly hopeful of it. Like he's another absolute shocking transfer that I've made this season. It's a contender for who's been worse, Ben White or Alexander Isak. They've both been shocking, just really, really poor transfers from me. But I don't want to move to Solanke and start chasing points. Although I still think Solanke is a great option. I just feel like I'm chasing that points hole now, which he might continue this form. And we don't know, to be fair. I just need to assess it and have a proper think about it. Cameron Archer at home to Luton. I don't think this is a bad game for them, to be honest. But the way they kind of set up, I don't think it kind of suits them a little bit. And this might be a prime fixture for Cameron Archer. They really need the points. I think this is one of the games where they do have probably favourites to win. And this might be worth a punt, or definitely first sub for me. If I make any change, if I take out the likes of Palmer or Sterling, then Cameron Archer's going straight first sub. He's just a really easy first sub for me. But I don't even hate starting him this week. I just think it's a really nice fixture for him. But the problem is I don't see Cameron Archer getting any more than one return. And that's probably you look at the likes of Salah or Son, who are so explosive and can get more than one goal return. But I don't hate it. Like if you are thinking of playing Cameron Archer or you're forced to play Archer, really, really don't hate it. Play him, and I think he'll do pretty well. Ollie Watkins away to Man United. Like everyone keeps saying that Villa are not great away from home. It's a bit of a myth. They're a decent away side. They're just much better at home, which 99% of teams are better at home. United don't look great. We still don't concede a lot of chances. At the game we played against West Ham, it was 2 average teams playing an average game of football, and just a little bit of quality from Paqueta opened us up, and that was it. Basic game over. I think Villa will probably outwork us, but I don't think they'll beat us. I can see this being a 1-1, and we'll get a result from the game, particularly because it's at Old Trafford. And Watkins could have scored in the last few games, and he's not. This might be a game where he picks it back up and he scores. I think he's a solid option. He's a solid long-term option, and he'll slowly just keep plugging away with those points. And you just need to kind of trust it, because if you transfer him out, chances are he's going to score a hat-trick anytime soon now. So stick with it, trust the process, and go from there. What do you think of my team so far? Leave a comment down below on the transfers you think should bring in this week. So on that note, we'll move on to some transfer options, so stick around. With 2 free transfers and 6 million in the bank, these are my 4 main transfer targets for game week 19. I'm going to make any transfer in defence, maybe looking at the likes of Ben White or maybe even Trippier. I'm looking at the likes of Trent. I know he's 8.2 million and using the bulk of that Haaland money to go into defence, but I just think he's such a long-term solid option that I really don't hate going for Trent. I'm looking for moving midfield. I've got the likes of Palmer and Sterling, who are both suspended. I'm definitely going to transfer Sterling out. That's almost guaranteed. Sterling out to somebody, but I don't know who right now. Do I move down? Do I go to the likes of Richarlison? But he has picked up a potential back injury, and I don't know if I want to move there right now. Do I want to move to somebody like a Saka? I just think he's been hurting me all season long. But I think Saka's a great option. I think Odegaard is an equally good option. For 0.6 million less, I don't hate the Odegaard move. And if I take Ben White out this week, it allows me to go either Son or Salah once they go to their competitions. I can take either of those down to the other Arsenal mid. So for Odegaard this week, I can go Saka in a couple of weeks' time. I really don't hate going for a double move this week of Trent and Saka. The two forwards I'm strongly looking at is Solanke for obvious reasons. He got the massive 17-point hat-trick haul. I feel like I'm chasing points a little bit. They've got form this week, and then they've got a difficult run of about 3 games, and then they've got a really nice run of about 6 or 7. So bringing Solanke in would definitely be a longer-term move, and that would kind of force me to change formation and go more towards a 3-4-3. I was listening to the Above Average FPL podcast last night, and they were talking about once Son goes to the Asia Cup, who's the best Spurs attacking asset, and it was Kulusevski, Richarlison, or Brennan Johnson. And they kind of put an argument forward for the likes of Brennan Johnson, and I don't hate the move. Is a massive budget enabler, and you've still got that Spurs coverage and attack, and that would almost kind of force you or help you to navigate towards a 3-4-3 formation with the likes of Watkins, Solanke, and once Haaland is back, bringing Haaland into that third forward slot. So if I went Solanke this week, that would almost force me more in towards a 3-4-3 formation as opposed to a 3-5-2. The last forward I'm looking at is Alvarez, and it feels a little bit punty because I don't really know what's happening with him right now. If Haaland is out, he's going to play number 9, but we all know KDB and he's going to be back any moment now. And once Haaland is fit and KDB is fit, Alvarez's minutes will be massively reduced. He'll still play some part, particularly on the wings, or kind of coming in that number 10 slot, or coming on late for Haaland. But if he's not going to if he's not going to get regular minutes, I don't like Alvarez as much as a pick as I do Solanke. So if I'm going to go for any of those, I am going to lean more towards Solanke. I just feel like I'm chasing points, but maybe that's just a move that I just need to make and just get it over and done with. I should have made it last week, and in hindsight, that was the move that I was thinking about making. It was him alongside of Nkunku, and Nkunku obviously scored. I still think he's a decent pickup. I just want him to gain a bit more fitness before I start thinking of bringing Nkunku in. But I'm definitely going to make at least 1 transfer, maybe 2, maybe even a hit. So that last week and I didn't do anything. Let's just see what happens. Leave a comment down below of what transfer you think I should make this week. Alright mates, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. So we did a quick review of Game Week 18 and swiftly moved on to my team selection for Game Week 19. I won't blabber on too much. Merry Christmas, have a good day, have a good year, have a good new year, all the usual stuff. Peace and love. Merry Christmas.